Egypt is the Nile, and the Nile is Egypt. These words just reflect to what extent the Nile River has been and continues to be the lifeline of Egypt, shaping the civilization and geography of the region in profound ways. Often referred to as the artery of Egypt, the river has influenced the settlement patterns, economy, and culture of the people who live along its banks. Egypt's population disbursement looks like this. But the Nile is not just Egypt's river. It traverses 11 countries, making it a crucial resource for millions across northeastern Africa. Today, as these nations grapple with the challenges of water scarcity and regional cooperation, the Nile stands at the heart of a complex geopolitical puzzle. Can this mighty river drive the African dispute, or does it hold the potential to fix it? Stick around till the end as we dive deep into the history, significance, and contemporary issues surrounding the Nile River. Please like and subscribe, and let's get started. For thousands of years, the Nile River has been synonymous with Egyptian civilization. The phrase, Egypt is the Nile and the Nile is Egypt, encapsulates this timeless relationship. Egypt's political boundaries, visible on any modern map, do not tell the full story. The real Egypt is shaped more accurately by the Nile, with over 95% of its 102 million people living along the river or in the Nile Delta. From space, Egypt is strikingly visible as a glowing band of civilization winding through the barren expanse of the Sahara Desert. This river has been a beacon of life in one of the world's harshest environments, bringing water, nutrients, and fertile soil to a region otherwise inhospitable to human habitation. Ancient Egypt flourished because of this, transforming the Nile Valley into a cradle of civilization. Pharaohs built their empires along its banks, creating monumental structures such as the pyramids and temples that stand as testaments to the river's influence on Egyptian culture and religion. The Nile River carves out the world's largest oasis through the Sahara, making Egypt's agricultural success possible. The annual flooding of the Nile deposited rich silt along its banks, creating a fertile floodplain ideal for large-scale agriculture. Unlike other early river civilizations, such as those along the Tigris, Euphrates, or the Indus, Egypt benefited from natural barriers like the Sahara Desert and the Sinai Peninsula, which protected it from invasions. These geographic defenses enabled a stable and prosperous civilization to emerge, largely insulated from external threats. The Nile's consistent water supply, coupled with Egypt's warm climate, made it one of the best locations on Earth for agriculture. This allowed Egypt to support a large urban population and become a significant player in the ancient world. Crops like wheat, barley, and flax thrived, providing sustenance and raw materials that supported not only the population, but also trade with neighboring regions. In modern times, the Nile continues to be Egypt's lifeblood, with 97% of Egypt's water supply coming from the river. It remains crucial for drinking water, agriculture, and industry. Egypt is a top global producer of various agricultural products, including artichokes, onions, dates, and garlic, thanks to the Nile. However, the river is not solely Egypt's domain. It flows through 10 other countries, each with its own needs and challenges. Ethiopia. Located at the source of the Blue Nile, Ethiopia contributes about 85% of the Nile's waters and views the river as a key to its economic development, especially through the construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD. Sudan. Positioned downstream of Ethiopia and upstream of Egypt, Sudan benefits significantly from the Nile for agriculture and drinking water. The country faces its own set of challenges related to water management and flood control. Uganda. Situated along the White Nile, Uganda relies on the river for hydroelectric power, fishing, and agriculture. The Nile's headwaters at Lake Victoria are vital for the country's water supply and economy. Tanzania. As a contributor to Lake Victoria, Tanzania's portion of the Nile Basin is critical for sustaining its agricultural activities and ensuring water availability for its population. Kenya. Also a contributor to Lake Victoria, Kenya uses the Nile's waters primarily for agriculture and domestic needs, with a focus on managing water resources to support its growing population. Rwanda. With several rivers feeding into Lake Victoria, Rwanda depends on the Nile Basin for agriculture, hydropower, and maintaining biodiversity. Burundi. As a source of the Nile's tributaries flowing into Lake Victoria, Burundi relies on these waters for agriculture, hydropower, and sustaining rural livelihoods. Democratic Republic of Congo. Although a small part of the Nile Basin lies within its territory, the DRC contributes water throughout its highland rivers that feed into Lake Albert, impacting the broader Nile ecosystem. South Sudan. Recently independent, South Sudan heavily relies on the White Nile for agriculture, drinking water, and as a means of transportation and economic development. Eritrea. Situated in the eastern Nile Basin, Eritrea has minor contributions to the river's flow but still faces challenges in managing water resources for its arid regions. This shared dependency has led to disputes and negotiations over water rights, particularly as upstream countries like Ethiopia pursue their own developmental projects. The tension over water usage has been exacerbated by climate change, which has led to unpredictable rainfall patterns and increased evaporation rates, further straining the already limited water supply. One of the most contentious issues in recent years has been the construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD. This massive hydroelectric dam on the Blue Nile, a major tributary of the Nile, has the potential to transform Ethiopia's economy by providing a significant source of renewable energy. However, it also poses a threat to downstream water supplies, particularly for Egypt and Sudan. Egypt, heavily reliant on the Nile, fears that the GERD could reduce the flow of water during critical periods, affecting its agriculture and water security. Sudan, located between Egypt and Ethiopia, has its own concerns about the dam's impact on its water management systems and potential flooding. Both countries worry that Ethiopia's control over the flow of the Blue Nile could give it significant political leverage, potentially destabilizing the region. While tensions have flared, there have also been moments of cooperation and understanding. The Nile Basin Initiative, NBI, for example, is a partnership of Nile riparian states that aims to promote sustainable management and cooperative use of the Nile's resources. Established in 1999, the NBI includes countries like Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and South Sudan. Its goals are to provide a platform for dialogue, build capacity, and plan for integrated water resource management across the basin. Despite these efforts, achieving consensus among the member states remains a challenging task. The historical agreements that have allocated the majority of the Nile's waters to Egypt and Sudan are often cited by upstream countries as outdated and unfair, necessitating a modern and inclusive approach to water sharing. The two key treaties have shaped the allocation of the Nile's waters, the 1929 and 1959 agreements. The 1929 Nile Waters Agreement was brokered by the British, who then controlled Egypt and Sudan, as well as several upstream colonies. This treaty granted Egypt extensive rights over the Nile waters. It stipulated that no upstream projects should be undertaken without Egypt's consent, effectively giving Egypt veto power over any development on the Nile. This agreement allocated 48 billion cubic meters of water per year to Egypt and 4 billion cubic meters to Sudan, leaving the rest of the Nile Basin countries with no formal allocation. This agreement was primarily designed to secure water for Egypt's growing agricultural needs and to ensure the stability of British-controlled territories. The 1959 Nile Waters Agreement between Egypt and Sudan was a revision of the 1929 treaty negotiated after Sudan gained independence. This agreement increased the water allocations to both countries, granting Egypt 55.5 billion cubic meters and Sudan 18.5 billion cubic meters annually, totaling 74 billion cubic meters. This agreement also allowed for the construction of the Aswan High Dam in Egypt, a massive infrastructure project that has been central to Egypt's water management and electricity generation. While these agreements solidified the water allocations between Egypt and Sudan, they did not include any of the upstream countries who were not independent at the time. As these nations gained independence, they began to challenge the legitimacy of these treaties, arguing that they were excluded from the decision-making process and that the agreements did not reflect their own water needs and developmental aspirations. Upstream countries like Ethiopia, which contributes about 85% of the Nile's waters through the Blue Nile, have long argued that the historical treaties are inequitable. Ethiopia's construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is a direct challenge to these historical agreements, aiming to harness the Blue Nile's waters for hydroelectric power and economic development. The tension over these treaties underscores the need for a modern and inclusive approach to water sharing that considers the needs and rights of all Nile Basin countries. The Cooperative Framework Agreement, CFA, also known as the Entebbe Agreement, was drafted in 2010 by several upstream countries as an attempt to create a more equitable and inclusive framework for Nile water use. However, Egypt and Sudan have not signed this agreement as they perceive it a threat to their historical water allocations. Despite the disputes, the Nile holds significant potential for fostering regional cooperation and development. Shared water resources can be a catalyst for joint projects and initiatives that benefit all riparian countries. For instance, coordinated management of the Nile can enhance agricultural productivity, improve water efficiency, and support sustainable development across the region. There are several examples from around the world where shared water resources have led to successful cooperation. The Danube River, which flows through 10 countries in Europe, is managed by the International Commission for the Protection of the Danube River, ICPDR. This organization fosters cooperation and sustainable management among the countries, ensuring the river's health and promoting economic development. Another example is the Mekong River Commission, which facilitates cooperation between Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam. These countries work together to manage the Mekong River's resources, addressing challenges such as water quality, fishery management, and flood control. Investment in infrastructure, such as irrigation systems and water conservation techniques, could help mitigate the impacts of climate change and population growth on water availability. Transboundary water agreements that ensure equitable and reasonable use of the Nile's waters can provide a framework for resolving conflicts and promoting peace. For instance, the Indus Waters Treaty between India and Pakistan, brokered by the World Bank, has survived numerous conflicts and remains a cornerstone of water sharing in the region, demonstrating that even long-standing adversaries can find common ground over shared water resources. African countries have also shown instances of constructive approaches toward the Nile dispute. The Nile Basin Initiative, NBI, is a significant example. Launched in 1999, it includes all Nile riparian countries and aims to develop the river in a cooperative manner, sharing substantial socio-economic benefits and promoting regional peace and security. The NBI has facilitated several cooperative projects, such as the Eastern Nile Planning Model and the Nile Equatorial Lake Subsidiary Action Program, which aim to optimize water use and improve water infrastructure across the basin. Additionally, Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt have engaged in trilateral talks facilitated by the African Union, demonstrating a commitment to dialogue and negotiation. Although these talks have faced challenges, they represent a significant step toward finding a mutually beneficial solution to the dispute over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. For example, in 2020, the three countries agreed to resume technical discussions and involve international observers, showing a willingness to work through diplomatic channels. The future of the Nile and its ability to drive or resolve disputes depends on the willingness of Nile Basin countries to work together. Climate change, population growth, and economic development will continue to put pressure on water resources, making cooperation even more essential. Innovative approaches to water management, such as the use of advanced technologies for monitoring and regulating water flow, can help optimize the use of the Nile's resources. Collaborative research and knowledge exchange can also play a vital role in addressing the complex challenges facing the region. Moreover, fostering a culture of water conservation and efficient use among the populations of the Nile Basin countries can contribute significantly to sustainable water management. Collaborative efforts can be bolstered by examples such as the Okavango River Basin in southern Africa, where Angola, Botswana, and Namibia have worked together under the permanent Okavango River Basin Water Commission, OCCOM. This commission promotes joint planning and sustainable development, ensuring that the shared water resources benefit all three countries. Such models highlight the potential for African countries to develop similar frameworks for the Nile. The Nile River is more than just a body of water. It's a testament to human resilience, cooperation, and the enduring power of nature. As we have explored today, the challenges and opportunities surrounding the Nile are immense. While it has the potential to ignite conflict, it also holds the promise of fostering unparalleled regional cooperation and development. The answer lies in the hands of the people and the leaders of the Nile Basin, who have the opportunity to shape a future where the river continues to be a source of life, prosperity, and harmony for all. At TubeGeo, we believe in the power of informed discussion and the importance of understanding the intricate dynamics that shape our world. The Nile River is a powerful reminder of how interconnected we all are, and how essential it is to work together for the common good. If you found this deep dive into the Nile River insightful, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts and insights on the topic, so leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to TubeGeo for more explorations into the fascinating geopolitics and geography that shape our planet. Stay curious, stay informed, and together let's build a more cooperative and sustainable world. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.